So, have you ever really thought about how a new medical device actually gets onto the market here in the US? I mean, it's a huge deal, right? The stakes are incredibly high. Well, today, we're going to unpack one of the most common pathways out there, the FDA's 510(k) clearance process. It's going to be a visual journey, so let's dive in. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're breaking this whole thing down into 5 simple parts. First up, we'll cover what a 510(k) even is. Then we'll look at the very beginning, the starting gate, you could call it. After that, it's all about building the case. Then comes the really intense part, the FDA review clock. And finally, the big moment, the final decision. Stick with me, it's going to be great. Okay, so this is it. This is our map for the whole journey. And I know, at first glance, it looks pretty complicated, right? But don't worry. We're going to take this one piece at a time, step by step. And I promise by the end of this, you'll be able to look at this whole flowchart and it'll all make perfect sense. This is literally the path from an idea to an actual cleared medical device. All right, so first things first. Before we even take our first step on that map, we've got to make sure we're all speaking the same language. There are a couple of key ideas, just 2 of them, that you absolutely have to understand. They're the foundation for this entire process. Okay, first up is this thing called a predicate device. And honestly, the concept is pretty simple. Just think about it like this. Say you're building a new car. You can't just say, hey, this is a car. You have to compare it to a model that's already on the road, one that's already been proven safe. That's your predicate device. It's the legally marketed device that you're pointing to and saying, see? My new device is a lot like that one. It's your benchmark, your point of comparison. And that idea of a predicate device leads us right into the single most important concept in this whole process, substantial equivalence. And this is key. With a 510(k), your job isn't to prove your device works perfectly from the ground up. Nope. Your goal is to prove that your new device is just as safe and just as effective as that predicate device you picked. That's it. That's the whole ballgame. It's the one question the FDA is laser focused on. Okay, so we've got our key terms in our back pocket. Now we are ready to hit the road. Let's head to phase 1, the starting gate. And this is so important. This is where you make these huge critical decisions right up front. If you make a wrong turn here, hoo boy, you could be heading down a path that's going to cost you a ton of time and money. So the very first question, and you can see it right there at the top of our map, is what is your device class? See, the FDA puts every single medical device into a class based on how risky it is. And this one little decision, this classification, it literally determines the entire path you're going to take. And you can see how this forks the road right away. If your device is class 3, we're talking highest risk stuff like pacemakers, well, you're not even on the 510(k) highway. You're on a totally different, much tougher road called PMA. But if your device is lower risk, say class 1 or 2, then congratulations, you're in the right place. The 510(k) path is likely for you. And for some of the lowest risk things, you might even be exempt altogether. All right, moving on to phase 2. So you've figured out you're on the 510(k) path. Great. Now the real work begins. This is where you've got to roll up your sleeves and build your case. You're basically a detective now, gathering all the evidence you need to prove, remember that key phrase, that your device is substantially equivalent to your predicate. So what kind of evidence are we talking about? Well, it's a whole lot. You got to prove biocompatibility. Is it safe to be in or on a human body? You have to do performance testing. Does it actually do what you say it does? You got to figure out its shelf life. How about packaging and shipping? Can it get to the hospital without being damaged? And if it's supposed to be sterile, you better have proof that your sterilization process is rock solid. And look, every single one of these things, every checkmark is a piece of the puzzle. And it's all about one thing, patient safety. Now, check this out. The process has this awesome optional step built in. It's called a Q submission. Think of it as a pre-game huddle with the FDA. Before you submit your whole giant package, you can actually go to them, ask questions, and get feedback. And why is this so important? Because it happens before that big 90-day clock starts ticking. Seriously, doing this can save you a world of headaches, time, and money later on. It's a total game changer. Okay, deep breath. You've built your case, maybe you've done a Q-sub. Now it's time. You hit send on that submission, and phase 3 begins. The FDA review clock officially starts ticking. And believe me, this is the most intense, nail-biting part of the whole journey. Everything you've done is now officially under the FDA's microscope. 90? That's the magic number, 90 days. The FDA's goal is to get through their main substantive review in just 90 calendar days. That clock is always in the background, and pretty much everything that happens from here on out is measured against it. So how does that 90-day clock actually work? Well, right away in the first 15 days, they do an acceptance review. This is just to make sure you didn't forget anything major. After that, the real scientific review begins. But, and this is a really big but, if the FDA reviewer has questions, they can hit pause, they stop the clock, and send you an additional information request. Then the ball is in your court. The clock is stopped, and you have up to 180 days to get them the answers they need. So after all the testing, all the documents, the back and forth, the clock ticking, the journey finally reaches its end. The FDA has everything they need. And now it's time for them to make the final call. It all comes down to one of two outcomes. And this is it. This is the ultimate question they have to answer. After looking at all your data, your tests, your labeling, your comparison to that predicate device, it all boils down to this. Is your device substantially equivalent? It's a simple yes or no. So here are the two doors at the end of the hall. If the answer is yes, you get a finding of SE, substantially equivalent. That is amazing news. It means you've got 510(k) clearance and you can legally start selling your device in the US. But if the answer is no, you get an NSE finding, not substantially equivalent. And that means you've hit a wall. You've got to go back, fix the problems, and maybe even start over or find a whole new path to market. And there it is, right there on our map, the finish line, that beautiful green box that says 510(k) clearance. This is what it's all about. This is the goal that every single person working on that device was aiming for. It's the official green light to go to market. So there you have it. We've walked the entire path, from just an idea all the way to getting that green light. It's an incredibly detailed process, right? It's all about checks and balances and just mountains of evidence. But at the end of the day, it's all designed for one reason, to keep patients safe. So now that you've seen the whole map laid out, I have a question for you. What do you think is the biggest, toughest challenge in navigating this journey? And how do you think a process like this strikes that delicate balance between encouraging new, life-saving innovation and the absolute duty to protect public health? It's definitely something to think about.